How do you promote your book without using social media at all? This is a question that I had on my recent video about better utilizing social media for marketing your book. I understand social media is not for everyone for a variety of reasons. Before I dive into the offline ways you can market your book as well as the online ways that are not social media, I want to first say that marketing your book is going to take time, effort, energy, and money. You cannot avoid marketing your book. I know many authors think the marketing is somebody else's job. I shouldn't have to do that. I wrote the book. I did my part. But if no one knows your book exists, it cannot sell. And you do need to put some attention into marketing. If you're trying to avoid social media marketing because you don't like marketing, then you're still going to run into a conundrum. But if it's that you don't want to be posting and trying to feed this hungry beast of content all the time, then yes, we have some solutions for you. My book that I published in 2009, that's not my only book, but my book that I published in 2009 currently still sells a few copies each month with no promotion because I set up a machine to do that. So if you want to be the most efficient with the time you have and get back to the writing, what you really need to do is set up a book sales funnel. It's a little bit of upfront work, and then you have a system in place that will sell the book for you, and you can focus your energy in other areas. In fact, when I went to do some research and see what other people were saying about marketing your book without social media, they all mentioned author websites and email lists, and those are the bones of the sales funnel. So I will post a link to a video here about how you can build a book sales funnel step by step exactly. You can also always hire me to do it for you. That is what I specialize in. I set it up completely done for you in one day. So you can learn more about that as well in the description. Okay, on to promotions that do not involve social media to sell your book. Since I wasn't sure if the intention of the question was to avoid the internet completely or just the social aspects, I'm going to talk about both. There are chapters in the description, so you can skip ahead to the parts that interest you. I'm going to start with talking about traditional methods of book marketing from before the internet existed, or at least from before it was widely used.
The first step will be sending out physical or electronic ARCs. This is ARC, it stands for Advanced Reader Copy, and it's one of the ways that you get reviews when you first launch. So you're going to be sending a free copy of the book to people so that they can review it when it comes out and get some buzz building ahead of time. You should send out ARCs to as many people as you can. I know that you might feel like, oh, I'm cutting into my sales if I'm sending these free copies. Really, it's about word of mouth and the tons of readers out there that you haven't reached yet. So if you have people who are already fans of yours, or your friends and family happen to be readers in your field, or, business contacts, whoever you have, offer them the ARC. When it comes to sending out ARCs, you're gonna, of course, if it's a physical ARC, you're gonna be paying for the postage, but don't be shy about sending those out to people. The ARC should have written on it that, it should have a watermark. It should say Advanced Reader Copy, not for resale, and get it into as many hands as possible, because that is how the word spreads. You want those people to know your book and start recommending it to their friends so that things can really spread. If you're doing this electronically, then you can send a PDF, again, watermarked. One way that a lot of people use to do this is bookfunnel.com. Ironically, bookfunnel.com is not a book funnel and doesn't make book funnels, and you have to pay for their middle tier in order to get the email addresses when people sign up, which is bizarre. But it can be very useful for promotion and for sending ARCs. NetGalley is another one that people use for sending ARCs. Have a book launch party. This is something else that you can do either physically or electronically or both. And you can basically look at it as a private book signing. So you can rent out a space if you're really having a to-do, invite all your friends, serve cocktails and hors d'oeuvres, do a reading from your book, have copies there for you to sign and sell or give away, and just throw a big party. With online book launch parties, you need to get a little bit more creative to get that festive atmosphere going. So I'm going to put together some other ideas for how to do that in a separate video. If you want to have your book carried in local bookstores, then you can approach the manager and tell them that you have a book. See if they would like to carry it. A lot of local bookstores have a local author section. You can also connect with your libraries and see if they have a way for you to donate copies there. And of course, you can approach bigger places like Barnes & Noble. It doesn't hurt to ask. For a local bookstore to carry your book, it needs to have an ISBN number and it needs to be listed in Ingram Spark. That is where the bookstores order from. But it is going to be up to you to help get those books to sell, because these bookstores have lots and lots and lots and lots of books in them. They're not going to be necessarily promoting your book specifically. So if you can bring people to that store, if you can get people there in some fashion, and your book sells off the shelves, then they reorder your book. This is how it used to work before the internet. This is why book launches were such a big deal, because you needed to get all those books sold off the shelves so that the bookstore would see value and reorder to keep up with the demand. Otherwise, if your book didn't sell out all the copies, then the bookstore is going to say, ugh, that was a waste. Now I have inventory I can't move. They might send it back to the publisher. So you do want to do everything you can to get people there. Some of the ways you can do that: you can definitely set up your own book signings at local bookstores. For physical book signings, the store doesn't necessarily need to carry your book. You can bring copies of your book with you, and you can purchase your own copies at a wholesale price and bring them with you, and bring a table and pens and some little tchotchkes and some candies maybe. Talk to the bookstores and find out whether they prefer that you use their stock that's on hand, or if you sell the books yourself and give them a percentage. Everyone's going to have different preferences, so work with them to set up a good book signing, and then again, promote the heck out of it. Get people there. If you bring people in the door, that bookstore is going to be eager to have you back. You're going to sell a lot more copies. You're going to get more buzz for your book, and you're more likely to have the staff recommending it to people. You could send yourself on a whole book tour, but one thing that is a little bit more within reach for people is usually to think about, can I add a book signing in when I'm traveling? If you're going to visit family for the holidays, can you set up a book signing while you're there? Apply to be interviewed on local radio shows, morning shows, places that do interviews. Send out press releases to the local media for like feel-good stories. A press release has to be more than just, I wrote a book! Like, nobody cares. I'm sorry. You care, you're excited, you're so proud of yourself, but books come out every day. So you need to give them an angle and a hook and a reason why this is a story. Is it that you've had this idea for this book for the last 40 years and you finally published it? That could be a story. Is it that you were inspired by a relative who passed away and now you are bringing out their story? That could be. You know, it doesn't have to be too dramatic, but there has to be some kind of an angle that local news crews can tell this story surrounding your book that makes it interesting for people. And then you can let them know which bookstores are carrying it. Or you can ask people to request the book from a bookstore, and then they'll see some demand and order it. You can offer your book as a gift in a silent auction or another kind of fundraiser. You can get a booth at a craft fair or a flea market to promote your book. You can look for local book clubs that have a theme that would fit with your book. Look for events, organizations that are around the topic or somehow related to what you wrote about, and approach them about it. So those are all some of the traditional methods that were used for selling books before the internet. But the internet is a wonderful way to keep your book selling, and adding in a little bit of internet will help a lot. It does not have to be social media. So here are some ideas of how to use the internet without it being social media. And we already mentioned that having a funnel in place is going to be really crucial for this. This is how it works. All of these things. You have to have that email list, the website, the way to get people to your website is what we're going to be talking about here. Can you send people directly to Amazon? Absolutely. But you have less control doing that. You have less control over communicating with them and curating that journey that we talk about in the sales funnel. You can blog on your own blog on topics related to your book using SEO so that you get that search traffic. That's when people are searching on Google or Bing or whatever search engine, they're looking for something that your book provides the solution to. You want to know what are those words and weave them into topics on your blogs.
SEO, search engine optimization, is going to be a huge factor in your long-term success with books. And this applies not just to if you're writing blog posts, but also the SEO on your book's Amazon page. So you definitely want to think about keywords. Weave that into the description, the Amazon page, and beef up that page to look very professional and very nice. So there are places where you can do that, to put in editorial reviews and to format it all to look very pleasing and professional when people land on that Amazon page.
You can also blog on a platform called Medium, which already comes with a high domain authority and a built-in audience, so that can be a really great place to get attention. You can also connect your own subdomain to Medium. If you know what that is, it's basically if you have your website www.nameauthor.com, then you could have blog.nameauthor.com, and that could be connected directly to Medium. You don't get the Medium domain authority from that, but you do get that built-in audience of people who are already reading on Medium. You can also apply to do guest blogs on other people's websites. And ideally, they have a little bio at the end where you can put a link back to your website and let people know about your book. The link back to your website is going to help with the SEO. Again, that builds what's called domain authority, which is important for ranking on those search engines. You can do a podcast tour, which is a little hotter these days than the guest blogging tour. So you can apply to be on different podcasts to talk about topics around your book, and if you can pack a bunch of them in together, then you kind of get that buzz going. Answering questions on Quora. This is where people ask questions. You can search topics related to your book and then provide the expert answer that shows people that you know what you're talking about and let them know that you have a book. On Quora, you want to make sure you're not too repetitive. It gets a little challenging because people tend to ask the same kind of questions over and over and over, but you can't provide the same answer over and over and over or you'll get flagged. So you also want to put plenty of value into your answers, make nice, juicy, meaty answers, not just, here's my book on the subject. You can use Pinterest. Pinterest requires kind of a lot of content. It's sort of like a social media, but it's not social. It's more of a visual search engine. But if you can entice people with those images and with those words, like your hook, then you can bring people where you want. There's a lot of outbound links, so a pin can send people to your website or send people to Amazon.
A Goodreads giveaway can get you a lot of attention. It's been a while since I've done one, but I think they are still working really well from what I hear. You basically offer one hard copy of the book signed as a giveaway, and Goodreads promotes the giveaways, so there's lots of readers who are scouring through there looking for things that they want to try to win. And only one person wins, so then you have a bunch of people who had the book put in front of them. They now know it exists, and if you've done your job to make it enticing, then they're going to want to get a copy when they don't win. So that can also help drive up the visibility of your book. And of course, there's also ads. So social media ads, if you can get them running well, mean you won't have to be posting all the time there. You won't have to engage with it once you get some good ads going. And Amazon also has ads. So I am not an expert in ads, but I will leave resources in the description box with more information about both of those kinds of ads for books. Then there's a whole other subject of the actual launch, where you can do things like make the ebook a lower cost for the first week to get the sales up, and reaching out to people to be a launch team who get the book early, leave reviews right away, also buy it at the low cost. Choosing your categories on Amazon so that you can get better attention. Like, there's a whole lot that goes into that. So once again, like, there's gonna have to be a whole other video on the subject of book launching.
Once you have a dedicated audience, it's going to become a lot easier. Once you have that newsletter list going, you've got people who are your fans that you can communicate with directly, then when you release a new book, you've already got that built-in audience there. Gets the ball rolling a little bit faster and easier each time. Please let me know any other ideas that you have for book marketing that does not involve social media in the comments. I've also linked several more resources in the description, all kinds of stuff that I've found about book signings and PR and other ways to get attention for your book, so go ahead and check out all those links as well. And if you need to learn how to get that funnel set up so you have the foundations in place, then you can check out this video